for that storm.
I mean, for a one-time thing with the, $200,000 house, that's like a mansion, basically.
Hold on. Yeah, for the one-time thing, guess what the government's job is supposed to do? When something bad happens, the government uses the taxpayers' money. This is the way it's supposed to work. Use the taxpayers' money to fix the problem, and then they reimburse the people. So that when the people get the money, they spend it back into the government via taxes. So it's like a circle thing.
What? Not a word of what you just said registered at all.
That's why. Not in the fucking Texas, because I have no property value. It's the middle of a fucking desert.
I mean, isn't, like, the entirety of, like, the northeast pine forest, which is, by the way, my favorite type of forest, but I'm still not trying to deal with that. That's why I'm moving to New Hampshire, because I got pine trees and
New Hampshire's
magazine bands and
you stay in the north.
Cold winters.
Yeah, northeast is like the best region. I mean, yeah,
it's
taxes.
Climate-wise, it's the best. Pretty much everything else, it isn't. Tax-wise and property value-wise.
Yeah, the taxes are high, but you get a lot of You get a lot of stuff to reimburse for the taxes.
No, you don't. What?
Yes, you do.
Tell that to all the broken-ass roads in Hamden.
Okay, that's just because of the fucking government itself. Because the government... No, because, like, the United States votes are shit. It's not just Connecticut. The entire country infrastructure system is shit.
But you were just talking shit about Texas for having bad roads.
Listen, there's a difference between having bad roads and having no roads at all.
That's just not true. They do have roads.
Fucking dirt roads dating back to the 1700s. Like, literally, you take Texas out of the Union, and what changes? Absolutely fucking nothing.
Why do you hate... I feel like Josh hates Texas how I hate Jersey and California.
Exactly.
Alright, so why do you hate New Jersey? Wait, hold on, Josh. Is New Jersey better than Texas?
Let's see. I heard all the stereotypes about New Jersey, and that shit is shit. That place is shit. But in comparison to Texas, I would say New Jersey has a slight advantage. It's very slight. The only reason is because I'm there. That's literally the only reason.
The only thing better than the only thing about New Jersey that is better than Texas is the weather.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said slight, because it's on the East Coast. But other than that, it's fucking the same.
But it's still like the second worst state in the union.
Which is... Let's say the second worst state would be Florida.
I don't like Florida, like, purely because of the climate and the crocodiles.
I'd say, like, what do you call it? There was a statistic or, like, a survey, study or something, that said, like, people living in Florida have to take a tropical disease vaccine that no one else in the union has to take. Just because of the climate.
Yeah. That's just a thing that happens if you live in Florida.
So, Gabe, why do you hate New Jersey then?
Because it's all fake bootleg Italians, and they have their nasty ass fake pizza.
I hate Jersey because niggas don't know how to drive. That's it.
Yeah, and all the garbage ass cities. Like, would you want to live in Newark? That's like living in Los Angeles with the amount of like A crime, B pollution, and C drug addicts.
Pollution's crazy.
It's California Lightford.
But not. The other thing is, honestly, I would say the best state. I would not say Connecticut, because Connecticut has a lot of problems.
No way, it would be even closer.
What?
Connecticut is...
Nigga, Connecticut's horrible.
No, that's why I said not
And
Connecticut. I said yes.
Connecticut is like the Connecticut is like the if I remember correctly, like the third least happiest state in the entire country.
Is it
Because
really
the
that
fucking
third
the fucking wealth gap is insane, nigga. You could go to Hartford, right? You could drive down the fucking street. Okay, richest neighborhood ever, my nigga. Like mansions, mansions. You take a right fucking turn, you're in the fucking hood, my nigga.
Yes.
Like the same thing with New Haven, like all the Yale-owned properties, like it all looks nice, and then my dad's like, okay, take a left here, take a right, and then we're just in the middle of the hood. Oh, there's a guy literally selling crap out of a fishing shop.
Let's see. Best state? I don't even know what the best state would be.
I think Wyoming is pretty cool.
Wyoming should not be a state.
Why? Okay, the reason why I like
Wyoming?
Wyoming is because it's a good mix of it's a northern state. It has cold and hot climates. It's also desert somewhere.
It's also
forest.
literally nothing.
And and there's no people and it's all wilderness, and that's awesome. But it's not as remote as like Alaska.
Man, I would say either Washington or Oregon. Are those two states?
Both states have like the second and third worst cities in the entire country. Seattle and Portland.
Wait, what cities? Okay, what makes a city bad then?
The amount of drug addicts and crime.
Let's see.
And pollution.
Okay, you want to hear a story
The
about
amount of Newark it has. The worst.
Exactly.
Generally.
You want to hear a story about Seattle? So my uncle lives in Seattle, and he told me he had a gun for home defense. And while he was at work, someone robbed his house and took his gun, and the cops found it like months later, just in an abandoned car, like a stolen car. They just gave it back to him. So that gun has a murder on it.
Do you know what I looked up?
I mean, in I think it was in Seattle, or I don't remember if it was Seattle or Portland, but do you remember Chaz? That whole thing?
Chaz?
Yeah, do you not remember that from last year?
No.
Where a bunch of morons just decided to create their own country.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, it's like, what do you call it?
That was there. Portland, I'm pretty sure, is the city with the most riots in the whole country.
Yo, so... Oh! I know exactly what you're talking about. So, it wasn't they were trying to form their own country. They weren't trying to form their own country.
Yes, they were. It was an autonomous zone. That's exactly what it was. They were trying to form their own country.
Jesus Christ.
That's literally what they said it was, though.
An autonomous zone is different from our own country thing.
But so what it was is that it was autonomous from the rest of the country. So they were trying to say it was their own country.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's autonomous to the United States. It has its own government. It's still part of the United States.
Okay, but you're so fucking stupid.
But no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they declared themselves their own country.
By the way, I looked up top 10 best states. First one's New Jersey. Anyway, let's see.
Literally, no.
That is so bad.
That is the biggest lie out there. Have you ever met anybody from Jersey that's been a contribution to society?
Look up best state to live in the USA.
I
dare you.
New Jersey.
Wait, 2021, let's see.
And are they contributing to society?
Greatly.
Okay, fine. Okay, first one's New Hampshire.
Yeah.
The second one's New Jersey.
That's the biggest lie ever.
That is so cap.
Let's see, what does it rank by? How are they doing this system?
Trashness, nigga. How many people fucking give neck in the fucking casino lobbies?
Okay,
Okay,
Washington is the best, then New Hampshire, then Minnesota, Utah, Vermont, Maryland, Virginia, Massachusetts,
Maryland has so
Nebraska,
many fucking
Colorado,
balls.
Wisconsin, then Jersey. That's cap. What? Okay. It's New Jersey has the least crime in the whole country.
I don't know if that's true.
And then Jersey has Jersey's so fucking terrible.
okay, you know what? I also stand corrected on that Chaz thing, so
Yeah. Connecticut's not even on the list. Oh, no.
it's probably like 20th.
21. It's 21. That's a lie. This list is wrong.
Oh, how's it?
It just is.
Just is. I don't like it because it doesn't agree with my opinion.
Yes, Josh, that is exactly why I'm saying the list is wrong, because my opinion is that it is wrong, and you're somehow trying to make fun of me for exactly that. I don't understand at all. It's not like I'm saying a math solution is wrong because because I didn't get the same answer. I mean, it's not fact. That's a objective, or yeah, it's an objective list or so, whatever. Oh, you know what
Yeah.
it is.
So yeah, that entire thing was an autonomous zone.
So they were
Supposed.
trying to do their own country.
Yeah, they're trying to
Peter.
be its own thing, but like the purpose behind it wasn't exactly horrible.
It was 4 square blocks. They were a thing for 2 weeks. There was like 4 murders and like 30 shootings, and they had a warlord handing out illegal AR-15s.
Okay, where are you hearing this shit from?
I was keeping up with it when it happened. Did you not know that they had a warlord handing out rifles out of the back of his car?
Chaz shooting,
had-
Chaz Seattle shooting, Chaz shooting. Shop. Teenager shot. Being killed. Another fatal shooting.
See, it was literally if that ever became like a state, it would have been worse than California.
State.
But
Of course, it's worse. It's a 4-block radius, miss.
Exactly. It's a 4-block radius. Okay, I don't even know. And the worst part is that when somebody got shot, they wouldn't let the police in to help him, and then got mad at the police for not helping him.
Yeah, that's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's retarded if you ask fucking me.
Retarded.
But no, fucking. What do you call it?
Was that in Seattle or Portland? I forget.
Seattle.
Okay. Yeah, because my uncle lives in Seattle. He said that they were, like, the warlord was making businesses pay him extortion money so that, their building wouldn't get set on fire.
Let's see. Warlord. Let's see.
His name was Raz.
Yep, Raz Simon. The hip hop artist.
Yeah, he was a SoundCloud rapper.
A hip hop artist became a warlord in a 4-block autonomous zone.
It's fucking sad.
And I wonder if he ever got charged for illegal firearm distribution.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Damn, whose mic just
Josh,
fucking
like,
falling?
can you get out of the open window of the car?
Can I get out?
Facts.
Why?
Because you're so loud, you're breathing.
Oh, sorry.
And I just turned my air conditioner off.
Oh, it's 6 blocks, not 4.
Oh, whatever.
Oh,
Gotta switch my AirPods.
oh, they took 6 blocks. Oh shit.
What do you? Yeah, they no. Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Maybe.
Okay,
No
so
means
this
no.
literally this entire article is controversy to itself.
What?
The article I'm reading about the what do you call it? Oh, that's
Contradictory.
contradictory, yeah. Because it's saying like how this guy's a warlord, right? And he's being compared to Bin Laden, but also it's saying that
Oh, that's stupid.
he's also saying, but his entire purpose was behind
These
equality and
nuts.
justice. Behind these nuts, yeah.
Well, yeah, you could say that, but that was also Osama bin Laden's entire thing was religious tolerance, which his thing was U.S. soldiers or whatever when they were in Saudi Arabia staging for the war in 1991, the first Gulf War, is that the women weren't wearing burqas and that they were wearing, pants. And he thought that they should all be like executed for being in the Holy Land while not wearing burqas. Nobody thinks that they're doing anything bad, ever.
Okay, then saying like, what do you call it? Everybody inside that commune, that autonomous commune, was police-free zone, so they wanted to abolish all police and have the mayor fired.
Until they wanted to abolish all
wow.
police until there was a warlord that
So the
took power and then started threatening to kill people.
Oh wow. I
LOL.
was laughing so hard when that happened. I was just like watching TV on the news. I was just sitting there on my couch laughing so hard.
It's literally a bunch of like mentally deficient people trying to make a country.
isn't
And
that
then
exactly
having, like-
isn't that exactly what made the U.S. a bunch of mentally deficient people?
Josh, I know you're not talking. How is that a bunch of mentally? I know your British ass would have liked to stay with the Empire.
No, I would not.
So how is that a bunch of mentally deficient people? Then?
Because it would have made a system that actually worked.
What?
How do you know? You realize that you don't know what works until it actually goes into effect. Because like
Josh,
That is
they were all good ideas.
Our
to start off.
Our system has been working for 200 and however many years, like almost 250 now, and
we're the youngest country.
that's definitely not true.
Yes,
Have you
it
ever heard
is.
of Israel? Israel.
Israel. This dude said Israel.
What? Okay. How am I wrong though?
Okay, fine. Let me rephrase this. We're the youngest modern
Israel,
country.
Taiwan,
How about that?
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Israel. How?
Israel's not modern.
Yes, they are.
What makes them modern then?
Modern
Well,
warfare.
they're a nuclear power. They have.
That we gave them, yes.
Okay, they have the Iron Dome.
We gave them, yes.
Okay,
No,
wait,
we
hold on.
Yes, we did.
All right, so whether
Okay.
we gave them that or not, does that take away from the fact that they're a
they
newer
still
country?
Okay, let me look up what countries are the newest because I know Taiwan is newer than the U.S. I
Probably
know
fucking Dubai is newer than the U.S.
Yeah, well, Dubai. Oh, that's part of India. I know that India is. Okay, let's see. India is more recently not a colony of the British. How many? Okay, there's like not hundreds, but
200
dozens
countries.
of countries. Huh?
There's 200 countries in total.
Okay. But there's dozens of
291.
countries that were British colonies that are now not British colonies.
They were still countries, though.
No, they were British colonies. And now they're countries.
It
Was-
just depends upon the
There's-
context. So are you saying like colony, like
The British
are you
did not-
including colonies as like countries, like if they were colonies before
They were.
the fact?
They
India,
were.
India was a British colony. It wasn't a country before. It was like it was more like
They didn't-
nation states kind of.
They were puppets.
What?
They had their own government, but the government had to follow under the British rule.
Cavalli's Gale is
Okay,
now
but that
ready.
doesn't change the fact that the U.S. isn't the youngest country. Because okay, so how about this? France was a country before the U.S. However, France went through a revolution and gained a new system of government after the U.S. Would you consider that a country?
The government's changed, but the country itself.
Okay, dude. Did you know that
Okay,
like
dude.
most modern democratic republics or even democracies base their constitution off of the U.S. Constitution?
Modern days, yes, but we're still 200 years old in comparison to the French, who revised the Constitution several times. And
Their constitution has also been, 200 years old. But I'm gonna look up now. What are the youngest
youngest
countries?
countries.
I don't understand how you saying that the U.S. our system doesn't work
Chad,
when you're saying
Angola,
that the
Uganda.
Yeah,
Zimbabwe used to be Rhodesia. I know that.
South Sudan, that was founded
Yeah.
like 10 years ago.
2011. Okay, South Sudan, Kosovo, barely a country. Montenegro, Serbia, East Timor, Paulu. I think I pronounced that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Czech Republic,
fine.
93.
Let me phrase it like this then.
Slovakia. It's all of the former Yugoslavian states. How are you gonna phrase it?
Phrasing it like one of the youngest countries in the aging world. How about that?
What? What does that even mean? And what do you mean, youngest countries in the aging world?
Empires, probably.
We're not in. Okay, alright. But okay, I don't know how you can argue that the U.S. system doesn't work and then say that we're the youngest country. And then, hold on, and then we're also
Yes.
the most powerful country on the planet.
Those are three different things.
But okay, so if our system didn't work, how would we be the most powerful country and the youngest country? If we were the youngest country and our system didn't work, we'd be scrabbling for whatever. We wouldn't, be able to do anything on the world stage. If our system didn't work, we wouldn't be the most powerful country.
If our system did work, then we wouldn't have as many problems as we did.
That's just
Now-
how things are. All countries have problems. We're going through
Yeah.
a rough patch right now.
All
That'll be
countries have-
fine.
All countries have problems, but any modern country would try to solve them.
Okay,
That's
dude.
that's like strictly with the leadership of the time. If you're referring to COVID,
It's not just COVID.
What
Like
are
leadership.
you referring to? Because people are trying to solve.
that had everything to
not
do
like-
with Trump.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
I'm not thinking about it. It's call it. Have
yeah,
system.
obviously I'm not talking about it. Well, how does this system not? I don't understand that. How does this system not work? Like what are you talking about? Like electing officials and then having them do stuff? Or what system is that?
I don't even know.
Exactly.
Okay,
Just talking about your ass.
listen. If the system did work, then we're all living in a fucking utopia. Then
No, but there's no such thing as a utopia. But if there was, the U.S. would be one of the closest countries.
No, definitely not.
Yes.
Shitting me? We're not even the fucking best country. We're like 40th best country on the planet. I'm
That's
best
your
country.
opinion.
Not an
It
opinion. it's a
depends how
fucking-
you like to live. Singapore is a better country if you don't mind the government being in your ass.
With the
Okay. The best country.
With the amount of rights that the individual citizen has, I think that this is the best country.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so let's see. Nordic countries. Like Denmark,
They don't
Sweden,
have free
Finland.
speech. They're socialists. They're democratic socialists. They don't have free speech.
What do you mean? Yes, they do.
They don't. They
Oh shit.
not free speech like how we have it. They say that they have free speech, but then you can get arrested for, making a Nazi.
Yeah, I don't think they can say that, like, I'm gonna punch Donald Mustard in the throat until he, like, bleeds.
Well, okay, fair enough. If a U.S. citizen makes a threat, we also will get in trouble. Like, if you make a threat against the president, the Secret Service will investigate you. But
Because all
making
freedom
a
of
threat is different than freedom of speech.
yes. All freedom of speech is freedom of political speech. Meaning we can say
it's freedom.
yes.
It
literally says it in. It's a literal definition in the Constitution.
We can say anything that we want, just as long as it's not a threat towards, I mean, even then, you can make threats. It's just, if you make a threat against the president, you're going to get investigated.
That's not. I mean, that's true, but then again, that's just a saying. That's what you expect. But the reality is, not really, because many people made threats against presidents.
And then nothing happened to them.
Yeah, nothing happened to it.
So I really don't understand what you're coming from, or where you're coming from, rather.
Okay, let's talk about best countries. Right? U.S. is definitely not the best country.
I disagree with you.
You can disagree all you want.
Okay, so I'm disagreeing with you.
It's literally what's been reported
down.
now. Now, my opinion is one of the Nordic countries. I mean, there's a lot of countries that are like equal. It just depends on how you want to. It depends on what country you want to live in. Basically, Okay, so what values of America makes you want to live here?
Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, right to bear arms. Literally the entire Constitution.
The entire Constitution. So
yes.
The right to revolt against this government. You like that as well?
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
For example, if say a Nazi type government was elected,
then I would of course overthrow it. But then again, there's also the same person that could say, I love Nazi, I want them to be in power, they can overthrow the democratic government. That's still legal. Well, technically legal.
So what you're saying is that you don't think that people should be able to have political opinions that are authoritarian, because that in itself is authoritarian.
Well, Germany said, what do you call it?
Germany doesn't have freedom of speech.
Yes,
Germans
they do.
Don't, because Germans can get arrested. Okay, Germans
can get arrested. And the Nazi flag, yes.
Having a swastika, yeah, that's not freedom of speech or freedom of expression.
Here's the thing: the freedom of speech is being like you can have free democratic thoughts, but anything that goes against democratic thoughts is banned.
So that's not freedom of speech, because they're limiting what speech you can say. And in what's it called, Scotland, I think, in the case of Count Dankula, he got almost sent to prison for making his dog do a Nazi salute.
Which should be, because we know what Nazism breeds. We know what all this
But it's
shit be?
okay. Listen. I don't think any speech should be illegal. Anything. I think anybody should be able to say anything. However, that doesn't mean that I agree with it. But okay,
That's an anarchist mindset then.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Because you're advocating for You're advocating for total freedom from anything.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is I advocate for freedom of speech, that people should be able to say whatever they want. I don't think that people should, be able to kill people. That's a completely different thing. So, okay, let's do that. Okay, let's do a thought experiment real quick, okay? So, let's say, a leader is elected. That's a leader that you agree with, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, the leader that you agree with...
Who the fuck is hitting my fucking hotline like that?
The leader that you like decides that, they agree with what you say, that nobody should be able to say things that are deemed undemocratic. Do you agree with that?
Yes. If we're living in a democratic nation, then yes.
Okay, now, 10 years later, a new leader gets elected and decides, oh, hey, anything that's speaking out against me is undemocratic. You can't do anything about it because you just made that law into a thing. So what? That's why I don't agree with that.
So you advocate for total freedom of speech. No matter what you say, you can't get in trouble.
Well, yeah, as long as it's not. Well, yeah, as long as it's not a threat against anybody.
Okay, so you're not an advocate for total freedom of speech.
Okay, dude.
It's selective freedom of speech then,
No, it's not, because if you say... Okay. Mason, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh,
okay?
No.
I mean that, okay?
Yeah.
Now, Josh, you know about... I don't actually call the cops on me, but, like, if somebody actually made a threat, you would tell the police, and then it... Oh, man. I would think that this would be common sense to most people. But, okay, hold on. Mason, who do you agree with more?
I mean...
A lot of this is just personal.
It's like you guys are arguing off the basis of like I feel like you guys believe the same thing, but it's just like very specific like circumstances. You think that there should be like a censorship to whatever people are saying.
I don't think that there should be a censorship.
Not a censorship, but like they're like certain claims, certain actions should be taken seriously.
That they're gonna hurt somebody. Yeah, something should happen with that.
I'm vying.
And so Josh is defining that as a selective freedom of speech.
Here's what I'm vying for. To simplify it in this term is oppressing the oppressors type thing.
But the only thing about that is that what I'm worried about is that future governments can use that to say anybody that speaks out against us is being a fascist or a Nazi. Anybody that doesn't. Then what? No, go ahead.
I said, then it just turns into, okay, what's a person's definition of fascism, rather than the actual definition.
Yeah, fascism is complicated at this point. I'm not gonna lie.
Authoritarian, how about that? I don't like the word fascist. It's been thrown around way too much. Authoritarianism is.
Well, authoritarianism is a type of government. Fascism is an ideology. They're two different things.
Right. Well, but fascism in itself is authoritarian. You can have authoritarianism without fascism, but you can't have fascism without authoritarianism.
Yes. Because one's a thought, the other one's a process. Because
I think they're both thoughts.
No.
Bro.
A government isn't really a thought. It's just a way a group of people decide how things are
Anything-
done.
It's an entity.
Uh,
I still don't know how we got to arguing about freedom of speech when, like,
Wait, so
I-
Josh,
I-
do you agree with the notion that freedom of speech, like there should be total freedom of speech, except when someone makes a threat, and in that case, in the case that someone makes a threat, a serious threat towards someone else, then that should be taken seriously, and action should be taken against that person.
total freedom of speech except against a threat. Yes and no, because it all
Why?
depends. It depends on the situation, mainly. But if we're talking in general, I think people do have a right to say whatever they want, basically, unless it's because it's like actions speak louder than words type thing. Like you can say whatever you want, but as long as you don't do anything, then it's meaningless. Because you can talk as much shit as you want, no one cares. But it's when you start doing the physical
If it's
action
like-
when it's a problem.
well, if you make a credible threat, like if you make a threat to go kill somebody, then go buy a gun.
I feel like off that same like given the same notion, someone could take advantage of that. Like, what if someone's really soft? Like Donald Mustard hears me speaking about how I'm gonna punch him in the throat, and then he calls
Yeah,
the police.
true.
Isaac is a circle.
So yeah, but off that.
Well, I have.
Hmm. Okay.
Talking to Hitler himself.
Josh?
Yeah?
You good?
Yeah, I'm fine. Let's see. Freedom is going back to freedom of speech.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me get my Constitution out real quick.
I have a pocket constitution as well.
Yeah, so do I. What's it called? Civics class.
I need to read. Let's see. First
I don't
one.
even know.
Isn't the first one freedom of? Wait, freedom of.
Well, it's freedom of speech includes freedom of the press.
It's gonna say freedom of political speech. That's definitely in one of the lines.
No, it's not. Find the amendments. Congress shall make no law respecting. Wait. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. I'm dyslexic, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Amendment 2, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Looking at you, 1980 whatever, NFA.
And that Second Amendment is also been heavily abused, I would say.
How?
Because it says a well-regulated militia, a government-regulated militia.
No, it's not. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. So what that is
The first sentence says
okay,
a
no,
regulated militia.
Listen to me. Back in colonial times, the militia was the people. It was the groups of citizens in their towns that were there to protect, the towns from, for example, Native American raids or from the British. So the militia is the people.
Yes, at that time, because there was no centralized government yet.
That's right. But so at that time, and then also at that time, they did write the Constitution of the United States of America and the amendments.
Okay, so let's bring back to modern times.
Okay.
Do we still have militia now?
Yeah, there's some malicious. And don't forget the right of the people to keep their arms.
So what people are talking about? Talking about all people, or talking about the ones in those militias?
The people.
Because
all the people.
let's see.
So two separate things. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep in their arms.
See, that's up. See, that needs to, what do you call it? And that phrasing is what you call like up for interpretation, because some people would say that's two things, other people would say that's one thing. Because when it says the people, they could see like the militia is the people type thing. But now we don't have a militia. Well, not.
But there are militias.
Those small militias, but in this case,
you can form a militia if you want. Like it's.
Oh shit! How did I get caught in fire? Got caught on fire by standing on the neck.
Wait, Mason, can you join the Minecraft world? I'm making
no.
the 9 trials. Okay, listen to me. I'm making the 9 trials in Minecraft.
The what?
You remember 9 trials from what's it called? The dumbass block game, Geometry Dash.
Oh, 9 circles.
9 trials. 9 circles. The shitty version.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to the Second Amendment,
Harry, goddamn.
let's see. I'm not against people having guns. That's not what I'm against.
Now here comes the bud.
The thing is, though, is that you need the proper training to have a gun. Like, you can't be any willy-nilly person walk into a gun shop and be like, yeah, I want to buy an AR-15.
Yes, you can.
And be like, yeah, okay, no license, no ID, no background checks, no nothing.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. Federal
Texas.
background check.
Texas,
No,
got rid of that. Texas.
No, you need background. Can you let me speak without just saying Texas every 5 seconds?
Texas.
It's a federal law that you need a background check. Texas did not get rid of background checks.
That was like the major thing on the news, being like,
now, universal background checks, I think they got rid of that. So if you go buy a gun from let's fucking go in there finally. If you go buy a gun from an FFL, a federal firearms, from someone that has an FFL, so a federal firearms license, they're required a background check. However, the average person doesn't need a background check to sell a firearm. So, for example, if I had a gun and I wanted to sell you one, I would not have to background check you. However, most people go to an FFL to get a background check because selling a gun to a felon or a criminal or a prohibited person is a felony itself.
yes. And I agree with that.
But the reason that universal background checks are bad is because that would require a registry of all guns, which historically had only been used to confiscate firearms. So, in the 30s and 40s, the Germans made all the Jews register their firearms, and then, however many years later, they had them all confiscated. And then they moved the Jews into the ghettos, and then they started putting them in camps. I'm well read on this stuff.
No, I know. Like, definitely, what you're saying, I don't believe it's false. But, what do you call it?
If I care about it enough to argue about it, I will do my research.
Oh, no, I'm the same way.
Unless it's something retarded like I won't care.
I'm the fucking same way. The thing is, though, is like, you're thinking about, based on what it says, I'm thinking about, like, the other person's viewpoints and whatnot. I'm thinking about how
So what
other.
do you mean?
So let's see. People buy guns to keep safe. Yes, I agree with that. You have a right to be safe. However, if everyone buys a gun, then that means it's like kind of a Cold War thing,
Exactly,
which
mutual assured destruction.
then of itself is not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing either because you're always on edge type thing. Like no matter what you say, you're always on edge.
I'd rather have a gun than not have a gun. Just matter of fact.
In that mindset, I don't know how to feel about that because then I think, okay, everyone has that same mindset. Rather have a gun than not a gun. Everyone
I like
has
where
a
I'm
gun.
at in my hand-to-hand capabilities.
Huh?
I said I'm confident in my hand-to-hand capabilities, but I also
This guy-
I'd also
but what if
love
somebody?
I'd also love to have a gun on me.
What if somebody knows? Yeah. What if somebody knows gun fu
Gun fu,
with the art of quick pow?
the art of they're gonna get introduced to dick fu. How about dick fu?
But then again, you have other people that want no guns because they don't trust people behind them.
Which I think is stupid. Because there's never going to be no guns.
Right.
No, of course it's not. It's too late to have no guns. I mean, there's more guns than people in the U.S. So
And even that, which I don't think is a bad thing, but that's just me.
Well, what I think is that I think we need to update our constitution so it can be according to modern times. Because a lot of the stuff is outdated.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
How?
Okay, when they made all the people to right to bear arms, right, all the guns, they were muskets. It took you 5 minutes to reload one bullet.
Well,
Now
that's where you're wrong, kiddo. Did you know that they had like not quite Gatling guns, but it was something like that, where it was like you pull a crank, and it was basically a machine gun. And also, back in the day, private citizens were allowed to own warships and cannons. So do you think that, modern day citizens should be allowed to own warships and cannons?
no.
What the fuck is my horn? Fuck.
I mean, actually, I think.
So let me ask you, why do you think that the government should be allowed to have, assault rifles is the easy but wrong pull? Why do you think that they should be allowed to have that and people shouldn't?
Can you repeat that?
Why do you think that the government should be allowed to have more firepower than the average Joe?
Oh, I didn't say that at all.
But you pretty much did, because you said that it has to be updated.
Updated to modern times.
In which that is what?
In accordance to every. So you're saying
regulating what should be allowed?
Yes.
So that's exactly what I was just saying, and you just said that you weren't saying that.
I mean, the government's always gonna have, more firepower than the average citizen, because of the nukes.
But why should the government have? Well, yeah, I don't think that people should be able to own nukes. But why should the government have more rights than the average citizen?
Because, well, I'm not saying you should have more rights, but
well, that's pretty much what you are saying.
The government, the people who work in the government are still people. They still have to follow the same rights as the citizens, because they themselves are citizens.
But if you don't have an entity that acts outside of citizenship, then you don't really hold there's no one to hold people accountable, because as people in a structured form of society, there's not really a lot of accountability that's held between the citizens. That's why you need a government that has more power over citizen to keep the citizens in check.
because what do you call
Well,
it?
yeah, obviously the government should be allowed to, make laws and stuff. But
The government always should have more power over the citizens. However, it should also be the citizens have the power to overthrow
yeah, exactly.
the government if the government abuses the power against the citizens.
So then,
And what if they don't?
so what?
But they want to be
so
overthrown.
So do you think that, like, a person should not be able to own, for example, an AR-15?
So what do you need AR-15 for?
You were
Because
just saying to overthrow the government.
having philosophical talk. My friends, come on. Mason Gabe, yes. Jesus Christ, mate. What was the
So
question?
do you think like, citizens should only be allowed to have muskets or whatever?
No,
Or
of
what?
course
What do you? What? Just, I'm curious. What would your like ideal gun laws be?
I would say, you don't need. I see people with entire arsenals of just assault rifles, and that's
But why shouldn't they be allowed to do that?
because what's the point? Like, why do you need
It's
50
they're-
assault rifles for
Why do you
protection?
need 5
even though you're
cars? You can have it. It's legal.
okay, then that begs the question: just because it's your right to do something, does that mean it's the morally you should do it type thing?
But
How?
people's
Okay,
morals
but
are different.
that makes no sense though, because you're arguing even though it's your right, you shouldn't do it.
Well, the difference because it's what do you call it? Scamming people is legal. Do you
No,
think
it's not.
people fall for it every day?
But that doesn't mean that it's legal.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Okay.
legal.
There's like what do you call it? There's a lot of things that's legal that's just morally wrong.
Dude, no one needs a fucking stash of AR-15s, like
No one
assault
needs
rifles, firearms, shotguns. No one
but
needs
that
all that
doesn't mean
shit.
that they
But it doesn't
shouldn't
mean that
be
they shouldn't
allowed
be
to have
allowed to do it. As long as that person, like, I mean, I guess you don't prevent anybody from shooting up schools if they have access
Or
to
like
weapons. But I mean, like, as long as they fall in line with whatever requirement is needed to have those
they don't
With
commit a
whatever-
felony, they won't kill
Whatever
anybody.
trait,
Whatever you have to do to acquire those weapons, as long as you have done those things. What the fuck? Then it's
okay,
it's fine.
then that's when it comes to regulation. Now,
This is
yeah,
not a skill.
regulation.
This is not a skill. This is not a fucking skill. It's a fucking skill.
So my guns, let's say if I made the gun laws, I would say not really banning assault rifles, but you need to have the proper training to have an assault rifle, like proper training to have any gun. But I would say
okay,
a pistol, a shotgun, a bolt action, and then a semi-auto.
So
Nothing full auto.
in terms of, well, okay. Real quick, let me look up one number and then I will tell you something very interesting.
Now, there's more to that, of course, because that's just simplified. It's never going to work out with just that. Because I know people can buy automatic parts to make a semi-automatic and automatic gun.
But say that again.
People can buy parts to make a semi-automatic gun automatic, fully automatic.
But that's illegal.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Any part that, like, for example, an auto sear on an AR, the auto sear is considered a machine gun. If your lower has the third pinhole drilled, it's a machine gun. So there are 175,997 pre-1986 transferable machine guns, and 270,667 restricted, like class 3 licensed machine guns. How many of those do you think have had a crime committed by them? How many people have committed a crime with a machine gun since with a legal machine gun since 1986?
There'd be like none.
None. And I don't remember the exact number, but a couple have been used to prevent crimes. Now, it's for the average
Hasn't it been
citizen-
illegal to own a machine gun since 1980 something?
So, in 1986, there was a ban, but anything from before the ban was still allowed. So it was grandfathered in. But
You think that has something to do with the fact that there has been no killings by machine guns?
no, it was due to the fact that Ronald Reagan got shot by some guy with a pistol, and he made a new NFA to ban machine guns for some reason. For some stupid fucking reason.
Why is this still on fire, my nigga? Oh my gosh, I can't.
But but for the average citizen, it is A, impractical, and B, impossible to get a machine gun because the pre-ban transferables go for like hundreds of that, like the price of a house, and the new ones takes like years to be able to get, like going through the correct hoops and everything, unless you have like a dealer's license.
Definitely done the fucking research. A lot more than me. The thing is, though, is like neither one of us can make a perfect world. Like, there's always
Well, yeah,
gonna be
it's not a
oppositions.
utopia, but it's as close as I think
But
it is.
the thing is, though, is that the Constitution itself isn't like it's a great idea. Like every one of the amendments is definitely good. In theory, it is good, but the practice behind a lot of it can be heavily exaggerated.
I disagree.
What do you mean you disagree?
All right, in what context can it be exaggerated?
Like, let's say the Nazi flag, basically. That could be
Okay,
like led to freedom of speech. Now, this is just one example. Now, this is like just a opinion, but that doesn't mean it's wrong type thing. So like whether I agree or disagree with it, it's still law. So I mean, I'd probably if I see that down, I wouldn't do anything. I'll get mad, but I wouldn't do anything because it's his right to put it up. Put up Nazi flag. But it still doesn't mean I would agree with it.
Right.
But
So
that's all you can do is disagree with it.
yeah, which then in of itself is freedom of speech, so and the same thing with the
I don't get what you were going for there, because that was pretty much my whole point. Is that it's people's rights to do whatever they want? Because what I'm thinking is, if you try to limit what people can do, you know, for what you think would be a good purpose, it in the future could end up being used for evil.
So let's ask this then. What would your perfect government be like then?
Pretty much what it is now.
Pretty much what it is now.
Just ideally, people elect less retards. But it's the people's choice. And I would not want to be like the only person that would decide what things be. If you get my drift.
You don't want to be a dictator type thing.
Yes, pretty much.
What do you call it? Mason, what class was it? This year's or last year's when we learned about like the types of government?
This year? No.
This year?
No. It had been last year's pandemic. It's probably the year before that.
So what do you call it? Our history teacher says, what do you call it? The best, like, statistically speaking, the best type of government is Singapore's, because they have authoritarian democracy.
Yeah.
Authoritarian democracy.
That's a contradiction.
Yes, but
that's
the thing is,
that's why it's like they have
that's
like
why it
people
works.
resisting the PAP and shit like that.
That's why it works.
How does that?
Like the people are more like they have a better trust, like they have a better relationship with their government than we do here, and that allows for like certain what? I mean, like certain. You want to say like violations? Because I mean, they trust the government to do certain things, but that gives the government like more power over the people. But then like they don't really abuse that power.
Because
That
we call
for,
it.
you know, this current dictator until the next dictator comes along and decides to do, oh, man.
Like for example, right? So they, in order to keep like the COVID, like to try and contain COVID-19, they had like everybody over the age of 7 download an app where the government can track like basically where you are.
Yeah, but that would, that's authoritarian. I disagree with that fundamentally.
Well, it's happening right now
Yeah,
in the
it's
U.S.
happening right now. Or,
Like your
it is?
phone is literally tracking you. It's recording everything we're saying right now.
It doesn't work
Well,
like that.
It does work like that.
It's
No, it works off of cell phone towers and shit.
yeah, it's the yeah. So if for example a police station gets a warrant, they can then access your phone records and then see what cell phone towers your phone has pinged off of.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
So-
not only that, but basically everything you do is like
Everything.
like the
Right,
text
but
message
it's
you
not-
receive,
it's not-
the phone, like
it's not
to get a
unrestricted
phone call.
access. They have to go through a judge.
You said what?
You have to go through a judge for warrants.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's just for normal cops, though. We're
That's
talking about,
everybody.
like, what do you call it? Not really, because the NSA doesn't have to follow those guidelines.
I
Not
mean,
really.
they're supposed to.
They're supposed to, but what they're supposed to do, and the reality is because what's supposed to happen and what the reality is two different things. So yeah, they're supposed to go to a judge to access the phone records, but do they do it? No. And who's to stop them? Because it's like this saying, right? I was told the saying by like Hitler. He said,
Of course.
who guards the gods? Like, like who's gonna police the police?
The FBI.
Okay, who's gonna police the FBI?
He's nuts.
So like the entire like system is supposed to be like the police protect the citizens keeps the police in check type thing.
And look at what happened when a police officer, you know, unjustly killed somebody last year.
Yeah, that's one
Rivali's
case
tale is
out
now
of
ready.
150,000 in the past 10 years.
Of what? Just police shootings or police
Just-
killings or?
Police shootings and killings. Because the only
you
reason
would have to take into account that like a solid amount of those are like justified.
there's a couple of them that are there's not actually
A
a
couple?
large handful. There's a large handful of them that were justified, but
Probably more than 50%.
I wouldn't say that much because it depends on your what do you call it? Your opinion of being justified.
Are you
Like, how would
fucking
you-
serious? This
Like how would
bitch
you
ass.
explain?
Having like a serious.
Yeah, you're going for a fucking another one. Are you
I
done?
love how we're just having a serious discussion and then it's like into slicing. Fuck! Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, I have to fucking provide input.
Yeah. We were like,
Oh, is this?
that's what? Yeah. Well,
Whatever.
it's gonna be like two wave members talk about philosophy and politics. Well, the third one is
bunch of dumbass shit.
the third one is yelling over Splatoon.
You mean
I
Breath
thought
of
you
the
said
Wild?
other stuff. Yeah, exactly. And you don't even know what he's doing. Come on, God.
Listen, I'm not here to keep track of what games he likes and dislikes. 'Cause when I'm
If it's from
You can't.
Nintendo, it's from Mason's perspective.
If it's not Call of Duty or Fortnite, I think we'll be good.
What about
You said what?
Realm Royale?
Realm Royale? I I've never played that shit a day in my life.
You told me to download it, and I did, and then I deleted it because it's fucking
Yeah, you
garbage.
told me it was terrible. So I'm gonna just take your word.
I played the tutorial, and I wanted it in my own life.
What about Super Smash Bros?
Oh, that shit is terrible, my nigga.
That's for
Okay.
that's Cold War 1.0. Cold War is the 2.0 version of Smash. In terms of player base.
It's Mario Kart.
What the fuck did this nigga just do? Bro, when this goes up an hour and 5 minutes in, watch what the fuck just happened. But go ahead, continue the discussion. Please, don't let me distract you.
I don't know what the fuck we're getting at.
We were talking about philosophy and
Kind of
shit.
forgot, honestly. These flow frames suck. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're talking about like the government. So the way like Singapore's government is that they have a one-party system. However, people elect different officials of that same party.
So the government controls who can and cannot be elected.
To a certain degree, yes.
So I don't like that. I don't think that's good because that can be used for evil.
Well,
But it has, like,
yes.
the point is that it hasn't really, and that's why
It
people
hasn't,
trust
no.
their
How
government.
old is Singapore? How long is Singapore ever been government?
it's been like what? It's definitely. Okay, I'm gonna just eye shot and say 1950s.
Just
So
look it up.
80 years. Give or take 80
Yeah, I
years.
don't know. I still think individual freedoms and stuff like that is more important.
Well, then it turns to what do you call it? And then what I see it is the country itself physically,
Where's
because
the fucking
if you think about it, because certain
sucks,
countries need a type of government in order for the country to survive. Like Russia, for instance, they're so massive that they're ungovernable, so they need an authoritarian or need a dictatorship to govern the
not
people.
True. That is not true at all. Okay. Russia has a smaller population than the U.S.
When I mean
I don't-
Russia, I mean like Soviet Union,
I don't
Russia,
think that's-
all that type thing.
So what you're doing right now is you're justifying the Soviet Union. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's not really justifying. I'm telling you like the reality behind it. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying what it is. It's the same thing with the U.S. Like we say we're a democracy, but we have a lot of authoritarian values.
Like what?
Surveillance, mainly. I mean, you look outside, you see cameras everywhere. Always keep track of the citizens.
That's mostly that's mostly a private thing.
And then, other thing is states' rights.
Okay.
Meaning that, I mean, it's weird because states' rights in of itself in a modern country shouldn't exist.
Why?
Because we're supposed to be one union of people. We're supposed to be together. If there's state governments, then what's the purpose of the federal government? If we're supposed to be one united country, then why do we need 50 different states in order to uphold that one country?
I don't know. I think it works.
It works, but to what degree does it work? Like, yes,
it works
because
to the degree that we're the most powerful country in the planet. Question mark.
that would most
Alright,
powerful
I
country.
just finished level 3. So if you finish level 2, don't go to level 3 because there's zombies. I don't want to have to.
Yeah, but then again, the U.S. does need, in my opinion, a form of states' rights because there's so many people and there's so much land mass to take control of that the one government cannot control all of it at the same time, especially with a democratic government. So
That's
you
kind of true
definitely-
because you look at India, you look at China, which are the two places that are larger in population in the U.S. They have a
population-wise. But the thing is, like, they have so many population, but so little landmass in comparison to us that they are like the opposite of us. We can't keep control because there's too much land per person, but for them, it's too much people per land.
I mean, that's not really true, because it's just that they have a lot of really big cities, and that their big cities are very congested, but like, north, but like, the rural farmers, there's a lot of farms in town, and there's a lot of, there's still jungles in India. So it's not that, it's just that I mean, I don't even know, like, what point you're trying to argue.
You said, like, why am I justifying the Soviet Union?
So you are justifying the Soviet Union.
I'm
Just
merely...
like how you were justifying Hitler, like, a couple months ago.
What do you mean justifying Hitler?
No, I'm joking. But...
First of all, I'm going to say this out loud, right? People need to understand, if you're going to talk about a subject, you need to understand the principles behind what you're talking about. Like, for you, instance, it's the Constitution. You've done a lot of research behind it, so I am understanding, like, you know a lot, so I'm going to assume you know, I'm assuming what you're saying is true.
I mean, yeah, well, I mean, doesn't mean that I know better than you, it's just, I know...
You've done more research than me on this stuff, so I'm believing it is true. It's because I know that I don't know this stuff, and you say you know this stuff.
Alright, wrap it up.
Okay, wrap it up, I'm yelling.
Yeah, I don't have past, slash.
So do you definitely have... Tell me to keep it down, tell me to keep it down.
Alright.
Tell me to keep it down.
Keep it down.
So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So do you have to get off? Or...
Yeah.
Bruh.
Damn.
There goes Hitler with that authoritarianism.
But no, what do you call it? So, the fundamentals of communism, in and of itself, isn't the worst idea. Like,
If it were a utopia, but it's not, and
it's not.
has never worked.
Yeah.
That's okay. A friend of mine was trying, like, genuinely trying to argue about anarcho-communism, where there was no government, but you also were forced to give all your money to the government, and where there was no police, but if you didn't follow communism, you would get arrested.
That literally makes no sense.
Yeah. So,
like, I would disagree with that. Like, I'm not saying communism is better than democracy. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying, though, is like the idea behind what Karl Marx was saying wasn't as bad or as good as the current system we're living in now.
it's... I'm disagreeing with you.
Fundamentally speaking.
It's okay, well, that's a matter of...
But the reality of it is, like, it's been perverted behind the dictator's viewpoints and personal opinions. Like, what do you call it?
I agree with that, but it's been changed a lot through dictators.
Like,
but I also
mainly
what he
Stalin
himself said.
Stalin,
Lenin and Stalin and Mao and now Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh.
These nuts.
But when you look at someone like Gorbachev, he, like, was the person who dissolved the Soviet Union. But the way he was, but he was upholding, at least trying to uphold some of the principles of true communism, which led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union.
Minos probably stink.
What'd you say?
Nothing important.
So, yeah. So people could say like communism equals bad, and it's like in practice, yes, because they were all been ruled by ruthless dictators. But if you put it into like multiple, like same thing with Singapore, basically. If you have different government officials with different viewpoints of the same ideology, then it would probably be better for the people than having different ideological groups having the same fair share or the same rights to have the power of the government.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't agree with communism.
And if you don't agree with communism, that's fine. Like I don't call it. I don't agree with
If you finish this level, tell me, and instead of going on to the next one, because there's zombies, and I don't want to have to respawn them all.
Oh, should probably set my waypoint.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll teleport you back.
Like a lot of these, well, most of these ideological practices are great in theory,
Yes.
but
Well, pretty much all of them are great in theory. If
not nationalism or fascism.
well,
Which is
to the people that like them, they are.
where's my
So did you set your spawn point?
yeah, I did.
For example, I bet that Aryans thought that Nazism was great, but that Jews didn't.
What do you call it? In the beginning, now this is part I actually know a little bit about. In the beginning, a lot of some of the Jews did leave Germany because they saw the writing on the wall, but a lot of them stayed because the idea of fascism was the integration of corporations and the government. And some of the corporations were run by the Jews, so to the Jewish mind, it was also a great idea because they made money, the government made money, the government can't control these people, and these people can't control the government type thing. They were the top brass until, the government turned the people against the Jews, and then we all already know what happened. So, oh shit, what was I getting at?
I don't know, we're just fucking losing our minds, honestly.
Over philosophy, and politics.
Probably the most boring subject to talk about.
Oh yeah, most likely.
So yeah, where'd it go? Honestly, I kind of I'm more agree with the Singapore government than our government. And the degree of,
just because I see how it can be used to take advantage of people.
but that's why you have term limits type thing.
Well, right, but that's also can be used to take advantage of people because it's.
You said it's the same party?
It's about, huh?
You're gonna say it's the same party, so
Well, no, it's
nobody's.
The wrong person rises into power and then decides he can do whatever he wants.
Or she. Yeah.
And that also gives other political ideologies no option to speak out. I don't agree with people that think that the U.S. should become a communist or socialist country. However, I do believe that they have the right to say that and try to do whatever they want.
I fucking come on, man, nigga. Fucking controller delay on this fucking Nintendo Switch.
Garbage ass console.
Maybe if you had games though, yeah, the best games though.
The best games. He only plays 2 games.
Yeah, I have 15 games on this shit.
Ass of the Wild.
Bro, name a good Xbox exclusive.
Battlefield.
That is not. Shut your dumb
Battlefield
ass.
is not exclusive.
Oh, exclusively Xbox? I don't think. Yeah, Halo.
That's cap.
It's not.
Like, if you're like, if Halo is at the point where like Halo Infinite better be good, I don't think the franchise is in a good spot.
Dude, if every game that comes out better be good. It's Breath of the Wild. If you're not like Breath of the Wild,
No. But it's like we have we have nothing to worry about really. So if I watch the sequel to like Breath of the Wild, I know that the game is gonna be good. But like, if I watch fucking Halo Infinite trailer and I'm like, yo, if this shit isn't good, the franchise is over with. Then that's just not good,
What are you saying about Breath of the Wild?
huh? Damn, this is a strong ass
nah,
weapon.
if Breath of the Wild 2 isn't good, I mean, what's gonna happen? They're gonna like, oh shit. I don't know, they're just gonna make another Zelda game
Yeah.
in a couple years. Like it's a very old franchise. It's never gonna die out.
And get past the second
It's
one.
Nintendo, right? I mean,
Like the Switch could be like poorly optimized and have a shitty online service, but at least it has like games that I'm actually gonna enjoy playing and not gonna lose my fucking mind over.
I mean, you still will on Master Mode on Zelda, but I mean, you're doing that shit to yourself.
That's better than fucking Fortnite.
Call of Duty, ass of duty,
All of the ass cheeks.
real. All of these nuts.